Welcome back, TCG Squad. It's time for another budget deck. So, for this week, we're going to be looking at a budget aggression Grand Inquisitor. I'll tell you what units and events we're playing. We're also going to provide kind of a rough outline of what you do for each turn, and I'll probably just provide some generic tips. So, let's go ahead and get started by looking at the cards themselves. So, we'll start off with the leader, Grand Inquisitor. His leader ability says you can exhaust him. You can do 2 damage to a friendly unit with 3 or less power and Radiant. That will give you the theme around the deck. We're going to have a lot of units that have 3 power so that we can use this ability. We're going to pair him up with the Tarkin Town base. Obviously, we're going double red. Tarkin Town's probably the best base to have when you're going double red because its epic action allows you to do 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. So this is actually can help take out some of those pesky units that you might be trading with, or they somehow took damage, so you can get them off the board and maintain your board control. Now let's go ahead and get started. We're going to have 3 guild targets, 3 Death Star Stormtroopers, 1 TIE Ellen Fighter, 3 Daring Raids, 3 Bounty Guild Initiates, 3 Force Chokes, 3 Keep Fighting, 3 Bo-Katans, 3 Rokai Gunships, 3 Fifth Brothers, 3 Open Fire, 3 Death Watch Loyalists, 3 Toro, 2 Imperial Interceptors, 2 Saw Gerreras, 3 Jango Fett's, 3 Christansons, and 3 Clan Challengers. For the sideboard, we're looking at 2 Force Lightnings, 2 Given to Your Anger, 2 Wolves, 1 Imperial Interceptor, 1 Saw Gerrera, and 2 Ruthless Raiders. Let's talk about how you would run this deck. Okay, so right now I want to talk about how you would use it for each round. So turn 1. The turn 1, you ideally want to play your Death Star Stormtroopers or the Guild Bounty Initiates. I think it's best to try to, if you have one of these guys, you want to play both of them. Now, if your opponent did drop a stronger unit that you know you wouldn't be able to trade out with, and you have, let's say your opening hand is Death Star Stormtrooper, Daring Raid, Guild Bounty Initiate, and Guild Target, I would opt to play Guild Target, Daring Raid, Tarkin Town, and then play your Death Star Stormtrooper, so that you can go and you'll kill the opponent. Either their base is going to take 2 or 3 damage, and then next turn 2 you can attack and hit for 3 damage, so you potentially have 5 or 6 damage on the base. For turn 2, which is your resource 3, you're really left with Fifth Brother, Toro. You can do Death Watch Loyalist, but of the 3 in a vacuum, I would say Fifth Brother's the best. If you have another Bounty Hunter, then Toro is going to be the better option. And I've found that typically in most of my games, I will at least have Jango or a Guild Bounty Initiate in my hand. So usually I would play Toro at that point. Turn 3, you're going to attack with your Death Star Stormtrooper, right? You always want to attack before you play any units or using abilities. With this Toro, you would play it. Okay, you would use the Grand Inquisitor ability to do the damage. So he'll take 2 damage, but then he'll swing in for 3. The next turn, which is going to be Resource Turn 4 or turn 3 of the game. If you have the other Bounty Hunter, you want to immediately attack with Toro. The idea would be attack with Toro. Let's say you have Jango Fett. You're at Resource 4. You would play Jango Fett. That would trigger Toro, so you do 1 damage to Jango Fett. This will ready Toro. You would attack with Toro. Again, so now Toro's done 6 damage. And then you would use Grand Inquisitor's ability. I would then use it on Jango. So Jango will have 3 damage on him at this point, but he readies, and then you attack for another 3. So you end up attacking twice with Toro for 6 damage, 1 time with Jango for 3 damage, so that's 9 damage. And then if your Death Star Stormtrooper was alive, it's another 3 damage. So potentially 12 damage at that point. Now we're on turn 4, which is Resources 5. So what we want to play at that point is the Clan Challengers. These are your bread and butter of the deck that allows you to really combo off they're very powerful because they're attack for 3, but they have raid 3 and overwhelm. So they're essentially attacking for 6 damage every time they attack. And then Grand Inquisitor's ability says with power 3 or less. So raid 3 doesn't buff the power. Raid 3 only comes into play when you're attacking. At this point, again, same idea. You will attack with all your units. Then you'll play your clan challengers. You do your Grand Inquisitor ability to ready them, and then you attack for 6 damage. That's what your turn 4 is going to be looking at. Turn 5, which is your 6 resource, which now means Grand Inquisitor is now online. You would go ahead and run your clan challengers. You do 6 damage. They already have 2 damage from the previous turn. You do Grand Inquisitor ability. Now we're looking at readying the clan challengers. You attack again. Now you're doing 6 more damage, so that's a total of 12 damage with the clan challengers. You deploy your Grand Inquisitor. You attack with Grand Inquisitor, who does 3 damage. So now you're looking at 15 damage. You ready your clan challengers, and then you attack again, doing another 6 damage. So you end up doing 21 damage. So if we talk about all the other previous turns, you're looking at 21 damage, 6 damage, 10 damage, and I think 9 damage. That's probably going to win you most games. Now, that is your sunny day scenario. That is like your opponent just whiffed on some units. You're able to control, trade out with some of them. You're going to win the game. But that's not always the case. So this is where I want to come in and talk about the events. The events in this deck here are Daring Raid, Force Choke, Open Fire. These are your control cards, really. So at the very beginning of the game, since more units tend to have about 2 house, that's when you have Daring Raid. So that's a good way to use a Daring Raid and then play one of your 1-drops up here, right? So that you can threaten some damage your next turn. Turn 2, or your 2 resource costs, Force Choke. Force Choke is completely awesome. You're going to use that to take out almost any ground unit in the game within the first few rounds. Once you get to the resource 5-ish, it's Force Choke can't always take out a unit, but Force Choke with Tarkin Town can take out a unit. And then Open Fire is your 3 costs. It does 4 damage to a unit. The good thing about Open Fire, again, is that you can use this on space units. Force Choke, you cannot. So I like to try to save Force Choke for the ground units, Open Fire for air units. And then also your soft control, also the Rokai Gunship is an ability to do soft control. If your opponent has a 2 health ship and they also have a ground unit, you can hit your Rokai Gunship into the space unit, kill it. It also dies. This one, then it triggers the when defeated ability. So you can do 1 damage to a unit or base. So you could do it to their ground unit they played, and then you can go into Tarkin Town to do that. And then the last event we really have in here is Keep Fighting. It's just ready a unit with 3 power or less. So this just allows you to kind of abuse your mechanics a little bit, the Grand Inquisitor ability a little bit more. Even if when he's deployed, it's even better, because then you can attack with a unit, Grand Inquisitor attack, ready a unit, attack with that unit again, which you can imagine clan challengers, you do Keep Fighting, you ready them up, they keep attacking, right? That's kind of the idea behind the deck. Now let's go ahead and talk about some just generic tips. I would say always try to go first. You want to be able to spread out, play as many units as fast as possible, and try to control your opponent's board. Against control decks, they like to use Power of the Dark Side if they're blue, especially their villain. So you definitely want to have more of your lower cost units out there so you can just push damage. So when they do play Power of the Dark Side, you can Power Dark Side one of your weaker units that have less health and keep your stronger ones up so that you can use the Grand Inquisitor ability. Keep in mind, you don't have to use the Grand Inquisitor ability every turn. I think that's one of the most important things to remember. The first round or 2, it's okay not to use his ability because you're probably going to be trying to set up a board state and control your opponent. You don't want to kill your units too prematurely. I would also to know if you're playing in a deck that has a lot of events, like typically, which would be your control types, you definitely want to play Saw Gerrera. Even if you can Toro, attack, bring in Django, attack, no. You want to use Saul Guerrera because they're going to try to play events, and then if they do play events, they're going to have to take damage to the base, which is going to help you win the game a little bit faster. So let's go ahead and talk about sideboard. Again, against control decks, I'm going to bring in this Saul Guerrera in here. I would probably end up just taking out some more of the control type cards like Open Fire, your Force Chokes, right? You don't really need those because your opponent's control, they usually don't have cards to play at the very beginning in terms of units. So this is a good way to take these out. I would first take out First Choke. Open Fire you should probably keep because it allows you, again, a lot of the blue decks try to use the 2/3 ship that allows them to shuffle cards from the top or bottom. But this way, this is a good card to help get that killed. And Imperial Interceptor is another way to get that card killed. Ruthless Raiders, I've found myself sometimes if I find an opponent that doesn't seem to have much air, I will go and bring in the Interceptor and the Ruthless Raiders into my deck, take out Christensen and Django, and my goal at that point is pivoting to controlling their units and then dominating the space and winning the space race, because that way you'll definitely win. Now, against any type of decks that do use Restore or abuse the Restore mechanic, this is where you want to bring in Wolf. He will allow you to prevent some of that hailing. To bring in Wolf, it's just a 2-drop, so I would probably end up take out one Bo-Katan and maybe one Fifth Brother to bring in the Wolf, and he'll allow you to take care of that. Now, if going against the Sabine deck, who tends to be very aggro-y, I'll definitely bring in the Force Lightning in there, especially with a K2SO, because they can do that. Force Lightning turns that off, and it also gives you the ability to kill it if you have Fifth Brother on the field or Grand Inquisitor. Well, that's all for the deck tech and the tips. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit that like button if you like this deck. If you really enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I like to build budget decks for the Star Wars Unlimited community to help attract new players to the game. I love this game. It's so much fun, and I would like to bring more people into this game. Let me know what you guys think of the deck in the comments. What would you change out? Obviously, if we're going to make it more of a competitive deck, we'll be using aggression, so I get that. But again, the goal of this deck, hey, it's a $40 deck that gets someone buy some cards and get started playing Star Wars Unlimited. We also are about to hit our 100 subscriber mark. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because once we hit that 100 subscriber mark, I'll be doing some giveaways to a lucky subscriber on the very next video. All right, thank you for your time. Have a good day. Peace.